Hello, and welcome to the Empowerography Podcast. This is a platform created for women's voices to be heard and a place to share their stories, journeys, and successes with the world for the purpose of helping other women who might be on similar journeys. We are empowering women one episode at a time. I'm your host, Brad Walsh, so kick back, grab one of your favorite beverages, and enjoy the stories. The world needs to hear your message and your story, so don't deny the world of that gift within you that the universe has given you. Someone out there needs to hear your story because it will support them in feeling hope, inspired, and even transformed. Do you want to discover how I help get my clients out of their own way, show up, and confidently share their message? I would love to extend an invitation to you to join me in my free masterclass, Start Your Own Podcast from Idea to Implementation, on Wednesday, April 5th at 1 p.m. Eastern. You can find the registry link in the show notes. Hope to see you there. Hello there, Brad Walsh here, your host of the Empowerography Podcast. Today, my guest is Elissa Hecker. She is a lawyer that specializes in small business, solopreneur, entrepreneurial law, as well as entertainment law, and she's also a dancer. Welcome, Elissa. How are you today?
Thank you so much. I am, as to use your word, spectacular. I'm very happy to be here.
It is an absolute honor and pleasure. I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to sit down and speak with you and share in your story and the beautiful light you put out into the world through the work you do. So with that being said, let us jump right in. I would love to know what drew you to pursue a career in law, particularly in the areas of entertainment and small business, and how long have you been practicing law?
Well, that's your last question first. I've been practicing actually almost for 30 years. I was in-house counsel at a music agency for the first 10. Then I had my first child and there was no such thing as flex time. So I went on my own 20 years ago. And it was at that time pretty traumatic. And since then, the best thing that has ever happened to me. So that question and getting into it, my father is also an attorney and he was one of the first attorneys in the copyright bar. And growing up, I was surrounded by artists and actors and entertainers and photographers and just incredible people. And as you said, I was a dancer. So I knew growing up that dancing was not going to be my vocation, but I wanted to be able to work around creative people and help them do what they do best. And to this day, I mean, the best photos from my wedding were not from the photographer who we hired. They were from the guests with whom I had grown up, who had known my family, who are these famous photographers, and they really knew how to capture. So I knew I wanted to work with people like that. And that was just easy. And I love being a lawyer and I love the law. And I love that it's something that I can do for as long as my brain works. It doesn't matter if my body works well or not. As long as my brain works, I can keep doing it.
You're good to go. Yeah. Well, what lights you up or inspires you the most about the work you do, Elissa?
Oh, that's a great question. My clients, because most of them, I would say, really most of them do want to make the world a better place or improve it somehow creatively or changing the world or just these ideas that come out. I always equated to when I was watching the Food Network in my young 20s and I was like, oh my God, there's a job that's a candy tester. How did I not know that? They're all coming, the entrepreneurs, the creatives, whoever they are, they're coming up with these great ideas. So every day I'm working with these folks who are just running and their brains are going so fast and I'm able to help organize them, protect them, and then let them go. And that part is so much fun.
Now, on the flip side of that coin, what would you say is one of the most challenging parts of the work that you do?
For sure, having to talk to people honestly and saying, I don't think that's a good idea. Or a lot of what I do is creative problem solving or figuring out how can we get some sort of result that will make you happy, but not the way that you want it. Or it may be harder. Or if I have a client who has been dealing with an issue and they're not happy with the outcome, even though they wanted certain things, that's the hardest thing. And the trick is to maintain the relationship while still being able to be that trusted advisor to give that bad news, figure out how we can come make that into something new.
And being firm in your stance too, I would imagine.
Yes, I'm not going to yes my clients because ethically, I need to make sure that I have their best interest at heart. So I had this with someone recently who wanted to do something that could have ended up with criminal and civil repercussions. And he was so emotional over it. And I was like, no. And he was really angry. And then at the end of the conversation, he said, I really appreciate that you push back because I know you have my best interest at heart. But sometimes we have to get through that anger and emotion because sometimes it's really personal.
I finally see your point, Elissa. You make complete sense. I don't know why I even went up against you.
But I'm also willing to walk away from a client if a client's not comfortable with how I work. Right. I'm happy to say I've never had to, But it's always something that's in the back of my mind. Like, you have to trust me in order to move forward. And you have to want to take the advice because I have your best interest at heart. But if you're not comfortable with it, that's okay too. I don't take that personally. Yeah.
Which is good. I mean, you can't take things too personally in business. And if they don't want to listen, you're advising them against their better judgment. And you, as you said, you have their best interests at heart. It's not like you're telling them no just to bother them or just to piss them off. It's because there's a valid reason behind it. What has been one of the most rewarding moments in your career up to this point, would you say?
Well, I'd say the most rewarding one was when I went out on my own 20 years ago, because I was able to both be a mom and be a professional. So I was able to create a life and sustain it and create a business and sustain it. And that really taught me that I don't need to put up with the bullshit. So that was huge. And it's enabled me to really counsel my clients, and particularly my women clients. And this happened a lot right before and during COVID, when people were let go and all of a sudden they're like, well, we don't want to work for these companies anymore. We want to start out on our own, and be able to say, a lot of times women were trained not to necessarily negotiate for ourselves. We're trained to negotiate against ourselves.
Yeah.
What if, or I could do this, or I don't know it 100%, or blah, blah, blah. And I brought a lot of that into working with my clients to show them, yes, you're worth that. And yes, you're coming in with all that. And then be able to watch them be these superstars.
Yes, it is possible. Look at me. I went out 20 years ago on my own.
I mean, not necessarily saying I'm the model, but to be able to say, it's like muscle memory. Here's how to practice doing it. Don't feel bad asking for more. It's okay to have silence.
What is one of the most important life lessons you've learned in your career as a lawyer, and how has it helped you in your own life and your career?
Very good questions. For sure, making time and space for yourself. And for me, my family is the most important thing. So I've always been able to, as a solopreneur, because I'm my own boss, I make sure I take a 4-mile hike with my dog every morning. I have time for my kids. I have time for my husband. I'm able to structure into my life time for me, time for them, time for my clients, so that I'm bringing my full self each time rather than being overworked and stressed. Right. And that, I think, is sometimes very hard to do, but I've been doing this for 20 years, so I know what works for me.
You've been doing it for a little bit, so you have a good idea of how to get it.
Well, when I was younger, my mom always said you could do it all, you just can't do it all at the same time. And I know she'll say that wasn't my own original quote, but it really resounded with me, because I really have been able to do pretty much everything I wanted to do in my life, and stuff I didn't even know I wanted to do, just over the course of time, which has been even more satisfying, because I don't feel like I'm racing against the clock. Like, if there's something I want to do, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to make space for it.
There you go. I think the important thing there is that you have to have patience. It takes time to get to that point where you can do that, because when we come out and start, it's like we want to do everything. And as your mom said, as I've heard before, we can do everything. It is possible, absolutely, but you have to be patient, and it takes time to get to that point.
And sometimes timing is everything. At 25 is not going to resonate the same as doing it at 45.
Yes. 100%. In your law career, how do you balance the demands of representing clients in both the entertainment industry and the small business sector?
There's a lot of crossover, because a lot of my creatives are also their own businesses. So it's very transferable in terms of the services that I provide, which is basically like legal and business affairs. What is your business entity? How are your relationships? How are your contracts? What differs is when I'm in the creative sphere, I have to know what goes into a good collaboration agreement between the lyricist, the songwriter, and the book writer.
Right.
Or what I'm doing for one of my entrepreneurs, what's important in the licensing agreement for a software agreement, things like that. So it's the fine tuning or like a publishing agreement. They're all contracts. They're all negotiations. They're all protections of intellectual property, but it's what do I need for this particular industry? So in the creative industries, I've got that down. The visual arts, the performing arts, the music, all that stuff I've been practicing since the very beginning in this field. And then in terms of small businesses, I love this kind of little niche the best, because it's the building of the relationships, and it's really the working with the people who are behind the businesses. So it's a very similar relationship to my creative clients and my small business clients, because they're visionaries and they're creators. And then we try to figure out how to protect them and all of that. So there's a lot of crossover.
Best of both worlds.
Yeah.
How do you stay ahead of the curve in an ever-evolving legal landscape, especially in industries as dynamic as the entertainment and entrepreneurial world?
I think, it's very important to know what's going on. I actually am the editor of the Entertainment, Art, and Sports Law Journal for the New York State Bar Association and the editor of our blog. So I am constantly reading, getting authors, editing, keeping on track. And we have continuing legal education like doctors do to make sure that we're on top of things, and just constantly reading and talking to people. And one of the things is, if I don't know an answer, I know good, trusted people to whom I can go to get that answer, or people who have had experience in that area. Things are changing every day in every industry, and that's really what keeps it so interesting. So it's really just keeping abreast of what's going on. And I'm an avid reader, so anything I can get my hands on, I'll read.
I think that's also a great character trait to have as an entrepreneur, is being able to admit when you don't have all the answers as well.
Oh, absolutely.
And asking for help, which is huge, because we get conditioned to believe that we should do this alone. Asking for help is a sign of weakness, when actually it's the exact opposite. It's a sign of strength when you are willing to admit that you don't have the answers, and it's okay to ask for help, because we can't do it alone.
Yeah. And that's why I like to develop relationships outside of just my clients, because I like to be able to give my client, hey, do you need a good accountant? Do you need a good insurance person? You know, what will make you most successful? I have all of these people who can help you, that kind of thing.
Connecting people is an absolute joy and pleasure. I love to support and help and connect people. There's such a good feeling in doing that for someone else. I love being able to do that. What are some common legal pitfalls that entrepreneurs and entertainment professionals often overlook, and how do you guide them in avoiding costly mistakes around that?
I think one of the biggest things on the creative side is giving up your rights, or giving up too many of your rights without understanding. Like, I have a lot of folks who come to me for the first time. They're like, I got this agreement. I want to sign it right out because I don't know if I'll ever get another one again. And understanding and also being able to walk away from something, I think, are two very important things, both for businesses and for the creatives, because sometimes you have to figure out, it may seem like a good deal, like with a really big thing, but in terms of the time and energy you're going to put into it, are you actually getting anything out of it? Yeah. Is it to your benefit? That is a really big thing that I see. People are always in a hurry. And then we try to break down, what do you want? What don't you want? Which is often just as important as what do you want? How do we get there? Is this worth it? And a lot of times people are like, and if this deal came along, there will be more, because what you have to offer is valuable.
Yeah.
So that, I think, is one of the biggest things I've seen across the board for businesses and creatives.
And that's another one of those hard conversations you have to have, because I'm sure they don't want to hear that in the time.
Yes.
That no, this contract is not what you think it is. It's not a good idea. Is that a common thing? Because when you said that, when you started talking about these people that come to you with contracts that are saying this and this, it brought to mind right away musicians.
Mm-hmm.
So is that a very common thing that happens with musicians?
I think in the creative field, the creators themselves, the songwriters, the artists, the screenplay, whatever, the visual artists, are so used to being underpaid and underappreciated that they're pretty much like, I went to gig, without being able to formulate a plan and a strategy of, what do I want my career to look like? So I think for folks like that, like the creative gig workers, it is hard for them to say no to a contract.
Look at this contract.
It's a contract, which first of all is a good thing, because a lot of times you get gigs without any contracts, and then you don't know if you're going to get paid. So a contract is something, but very often then we'll talk it through, and they'll be like, oh, so then my clients will then know how to issue spot in the future, and be like, and then whether or not they use me, they'll be smarter when they're reading things, and they'll know like, oh, I didn't like this last time, or this was in my last agreement, and I think it should be in this one too.
I love it.
Yeah.
Do you have a preference of one over the other in regards to the two areas in which you practice law, the entertainment world versus the entrepreneurial and small business world?
No, because I think, like I said, they're very similar in how they approach the world and the work. So they're all creative, and they're all building something. And that's what's exciting. And they're all different personalities.
Some more difficult than others, I'm sure.
Yes. And some more interesting than others. So
yeah, your days must be quite interesting at times. I mean, when you have those interactions with your clients and meeting new clients for the first time, the personalities that you encounter.
The personalities and the passions. Yeah. That's one thing I love about this that you wouldn't necessarily get from working in big corporate business. These are people with passion And it's exciting to listen to everything that they're doing and they're planning. And it's like, this is my 8-year, 10-year plan. And we're like, wait, let's figure out year one, that kind of thing. But it is so exciting to see the vision.
And to be part of that world.
And to be part of it. Yeah. That's
amazing.
That's my goal, is to grow with them. So I'm able to see what we start from the seed all the way through.
When you bring a new client on, is it like a retainer basis? How does that whole thing work for you?
So I'll answer like a lawyer. It depends. There's usually a retainer involved. And because I'm a solo practitioner, it is much smaller than what a firm would give you. But with my business clients or my well-established like production clients or publishing company clients or more established clients, I have a set rate with a retainer. Okay. With my individual creatives or my solopreneurs who are just starting out, I'll ask them a question they've never been asked before, which is, what's your legal budget? Here's what I think we need to do to set you up. What do you have? And a lot of them haven't even worked on any budgets, let alone a legal budget. So we work through that together. And I'll say, here's what I think you need to really be protected to start. We figure out what works for them. And then my goal, because I know they're putting everything they make back into the business at that point, is again, for them to grow into my rate down the line, but to be able to help them start out in a position.
That's pretty incredible that you do that and work with them in that way. I think that's amazing.
Yeah. Thank you.
I love it. In your opinion, what does success look like for a lawyer in the entertainment and small business sectors beyond traditional metrics of billing hours or winning cases?
Well, I don't litigate, so I don't want to talk to the cases portion. I'm a straight transactional lawyer, which is why I have clients all over the country and the world, because I don't have to, go into court, which is awesome for me. Although I know many litigators who are happy. I think your metric of success is, granted, it's good to be able to earn a living. So to be able to earn a living where you're able to also be satisfied and content and happy and look forward to going to work. I know so many lawyers who feel stuck, like mid-career, or we're no longer climbing that ladder. We're no longer like, oh my God, I need to achieve, I need to impress, I need to, that kind of thing. In my area, we're kind of at my age set and just continuing with what works. And I find that every day I look forward to working. And every day I look forward to meeting new people or to continuing working with the people with whom I'm already engaged. And that's exciting. And I feel like that's successful. And when I get referrals from clients, that to me is the ultimate success rate, because I know that my clients are happy and they're like, you have to talk to my lawyer. Like, you need her. That to me always makes me so happy.
That is a beautiful gift to be able to get those referrals. And that's what it's all about. That's your best form of marketing, is word of mouth.
It is. And my clients, I've had several clients tell me that my superpower is listening, because a lot of lawyers will tell you what they think you need. And again, this is good for the creatives and the small businesses. I want to listen to what you're saying, where you are in your life, what's happening personally, what's happening professionally, and how we can make everything work with everything that's going on.
Yeah, then you give them the proper guidance. That's your lane of expertise. Yeah. So you listen to what they have to say and then say, well, I really don't agree with this. Maybe we should look at it this way, or however it may roll. Beyond your legal practice, how do you advocate for positive change or social impact within the entrepreneurial community or the entertainment industry?
This is one of my favorite questions. It's not outside my legal
prowess.
Thank you. Yeah, I lost the word for a second. But about a third of what I do in my practice, that was the word, practice. About a third of what I do is actually pro bono. So I work with not-for-profits or creators who can't afford attorneys. I run pro bono clinics through the Bar Association. Awesome. I represent non-for-profits across the country in so many different things. And I also am chair of the board of directors of a not-for-profit. It's called Dance NYC in New York City, that advocates for, does resources for, and just provides services for the dance field. So I was raised with a social conscience. My parents are very politically active, very advocacy oriented. And I was definitely raised, and I've passed this on to my children. Yeah. My husband and I both have, that our job is to help make the world a better place. There are those words again. So that's what feeds my soul.
I love that. That's part of why we're all here, is to support each other and to give back and to create impact in the world and leave the world a better place than how we found it.
Yeah. And I like to do that through my profession, because I can't necessarily go out and write these wonderful things or create these documentaries or teach these great courses, but I can help those who are doing it get it out there and be protected and really be able to be successful. And that is so cool.
It's so fulfilling. It just, it's that type of work just fills your soul.
Yeah.
And that should be incorporated into everybody's work, no matter what you're
I
doing.
agree.
There's always a way to give back and
I
support
agree.
others. It
Yep.
doesn't always have to be through financial means.
Yeah.
Intellectual property is a critical asset for many entrepreneurs. How do you assist your clients in safeguarding their intellectual property rights and navigating the complexities of copyright, trademark, and patents?
So I work with copyrights and trademarks. Patent is you have to have a separate bar. You have to pass a separate bar. You have to have somewhat of an engineering background for that.
Okay.
So I have plenty of folks to whom I can refer to patent attorneys, but I deal with the copyright and trademark. So the copyright is in what you create that's original and in a tangible medium.
Okay.
So you can't protect, for example, the idea of star-crossed lovers, but you can protect a script that talks about star-crossed lovers, things like
Right.
that. And your trademark is your brand. So like the Nike swoosh, it's the source of the goods or services that you're providing. So as you said, one of the biggest things, whether it comes to the creatives and what they're actually creating, or when you're building a brand where the consumer will recognize who you are and what you do based on, that is very often the most valuable property of a company and entity. Because then when you go to sell it or you go to license based on it and people know you, that's your reputation. So That's really key. I do a ton of work in the intellectual property space with copyrights and trademarks.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Can you share a particularly challenging case or situation you faced in your career up to this point and how you navigated through that in order to achieve a favorable outcome?
I mean, sometimes there are very contentious negotiations where the clients on both sides want to work together, but they're far apart. And very often I have found the hardest time is working with an adversarial attorney who's just an asshole. And I'm happy to say that I haven't encountered it a lot, but there are times when my mommy voice comes out, when it's like you're getting in the way of our clients working together. They want to make something great. So I think just dealing with certain personalities in a certain way, or again, I try not to put my ego personally in there. And in my early years, it was very hard. I was being really mean. And my client really wanted something and I couldn't get it here or there. I would feel like this is a failure. And I'm realizing I need to remove myself. I need to get the best possible deal for my client. It's not about me. At the end of the day, I have my own life. So I think navigating with difficult personalities may be the toughest way, and to be able to have everybody walk away from the table with something. I'm not a litigator. I'm a bringing together, let's have a meeting of the minds and plan our roadmap kind of person. And then what's the best way to do that?
Yeah.
And again, if it doesn't work, we walk away, but somehow you maintain a relationship. Yeah.
Let's just work together. Let's just create.
Why can't we just get along?
Exactly. There you go.
Who just have astronomical egos and they get in their own way. So it's all creative problem solving. It's working with personalities. It's maybe trying to get my client to talk to the other, because when you're represented by an attorney, the attorney can't talk to the opposing client. You have to go attorney to attorney. So very often I would work with my clients to be like, so here's what I would want you to say to your counterpart rather than I go through your counterpart's attorney. And then very often that one will then say to the attorney, I want you to make this happen. Do it this way. That's how we often come to the table. And the attorney doesn't realize that I'm doing the puppeteering behind the scenes. So it doesn't affect usually his ego. It doesn't usually affect the attorney's ego, because the attorney looks like he's doing something good for his client. And then everybody's happy.
The astronomical egos you mentioned, do you see more of that in your clients or the lawyers that you deal with?
The lawyers, but I do
Really?
say not as many. It's not a lot. It was one of those, a handful in all these years.
Yeah.
Definitely not my clients. Again, because my clients are mostly small businesses, family businesses, creatives, even folks in the entertainment business who have been very successful. They're still creating new things and they still have a vested interest, and they're still like, am I good enough? That kind of thing. No matter how successful you are, a lot of it is like that. And they really value the counsel. It's the attorneys who have either been out like 10 years and I'm hot stuff, or they've been out for like 50 years and I know everything. Those are the ones that are a little bit harder.
Oh boy.
There aren't as many of them, but there were a lot when I started out who would sweetheart me and honey. And it's like, that has not been that much recently.
As a successful woman in both law and entrepreneurship, what advice do you have for aspiring female entrepreneurs and lawyers looking to make their mark in these fields?
Get a good mentor. That's key, or many. And I think that networking has also changed so much since the pandemic, because you're able to not just walk into a room and hand out a business card, but
Yeah.
you're really able to network and build relationships. So I would say build relationships, talk to everyone, get one or two or three really good mentors. In my field, I would say, as an editor of the journal and the blog, get published in something, because then this is something I've had a lot of people, law students or young lawyers, get jobs because they've written pieces, and then they not only can you write and communicate well in English, but you become an expert in a particular place, and that puts you above and beyond what somebody else might have been doing just from law school. So I think that is key. And also, there's so much imposter syndrome out there. Believe in yourself, believe in your value, and know when to ask questions. Like we were saying before, know when to say, I don't know, and pick up the phone and ask. Never be shy to ask. I've been practicing for a long time. I will still pick up the phone and call my colleague who is the top lawyer who deals with movies and filmmaking. If I have a question, I'll call him. He picks up the phone. It's easy to talk to each other. We're people.
Yeah.
So those would be,
The imposter syndrome is a tough thing. I was interviewing a woman this morning, and we were talking about that and how relevant and rampant it is among women with the imposter syndrome.
Yep.
But I mean, yes, it's rampant, but we all experience it. And just because you experience it, you get through it, you come out the other side, doesn't mean it's not going to crop up again. It's going to happen because we're human beings.
Yeah.
But I think that as you move through your experiences, as you move through life and learning to deal with that, it helps you to be able to learn how to turn the volume down on those inner voices a lot quicker.
I love how you phrase that. Absolutely.
It's important. And it's a tough road. It's not easy at all. It takes work to get through that and to come out the other side of it. But once you do, it makes things easier to deal with, I think.
Yeah. And you can face any challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We are capable of doing anything we set our mind to. Anything is
and you
possible.
also, it's important to grow. If you don't grow, you get stagnant and it's boring.
And we grow through failure, through making mistakes, all of these things. These are not bad words. These are not bad things.
Yeah.
It's part of the process. It's part of the journey.
Oh, ask any entrepreneur. Failure is key.
Yes, 100%. 100%. What challenges have you faced as a woman in the legal profession, and how have you overcome them to succeed in a male-dominated field? I mean, I'm sure back when you started, it was more male dominated.
I was going to say, like 20, 30 years ago, it was definitely more male dominated. In my areas, I wouldn't say it's male dominated. I probably see more women than men, male attorneys on a regular basis, and really good ones. But in the beginning, I was in the music industry for 10 years, and it was male dominated industry, male dominated lawyers, male dominated everything. It was an old boys club. Yeah. And that was an interesting way to kind of traverse through. I would have senior attorneys who were outside counsel take me out to lunch and ask if my thighs rubbed together when I walked. I mean, this was just the usual banter, and you just kind of went with it. And I don't have that issue anymore. I think things have changed a lot, and I'm glad that my daughter doesn't have to deal with stuff like this necessarily. I was never in danger, but it was just the culture. I think that things have changed. I think also for all the crap that the millennials and the Gen Zs get, I think the men of these generations are much more attuned to being partners and attuned to their feminine sides. And I see even in my neighborhood, it's the stay-at-home dads or the stay-at-home working dads, or who are very involved, and the moms are out working. And it's amazing to see what's happening. So I don't really feel that in my business anymore. And I didn't want to ever let it stop me in the beginning.
I mean, obviously that built your character and your skill set as a lawyer, who you are as a woman, who you are as a human being, having to go through and deal with that. As tough as I'm sure it was, I can't even begin to imagine having to put up with that bullshit when you're just trying to make your way and establish yourself in a career. Just because you're a woman does not mean you don't have the right to speak to me that way. Yeah. You wouldn't speak to another man that, obviously you wouldn't speak to another man that way, but you wouldn't behave that way.
That is true. That is true. I mean, I was very lucky in that the people who spoke to me this way also respected my mind and the work that I did, and they felt like I was one of the boys. So it wasn't like I felt like I was ever a target. So at the time, I didn't feel like it was anything wrong. Looking back after Me Too, we're like, that was definitely wrong. But I never felt in danger or anything. But it's part of it also was able to make me navigate through different situations. And I think it's like putting on a face or laughing or things like that.
As a legal practitioner, what role do you believe that lawyers play in driving positive social change and addressing systemic issues, both within the legal profession and in society at large?
I mean, that is a crazy, wonderfully loaded question because it's huge. The only reason why we have laws is because the lawyers draft them. The American with Disability Acts, like anything that requires a change systematically and systemically in advocacy is because of the lawyers. I mean, look at all of the folks who are getting out of jail who were incarcerated wrongly. That this is all pro bono lawyers on top of everything else. So I definitely think that the bad lawyer jokes, there are certain bad lawyers who are out there, but even the big corporate lawyers, they're helping to do things in a lot of the ways to make things better. But I think being a lawyer, like I said, I do a lot of pro bono work for not-for-profits, and each not-for-profit is doing something to make the world a better place. So little bits here and there. And then in terms of the public policy lawyers or the lawyers who are defending folks who can't afford their lawyers, the public defenders, things like that. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, they're doing God's work. That is not easy. And it is really, it's so important. Folks who are in housing court, for people who can't afford and they're getting kicked out of their apartments because they can't pay rent, but they can't pay rent because of X, Y, and Z to help them feed their kids. These are all the good lawyers.
In addition to legal representation, how do you advocate for broader systemic changes or policy reforms to create a more equitable and just legal environment for entrepreneurs and creators?
Well, I think how I live my life every day is informed by that. A lot of the work I've done through Dance NYC too, and I credit the staff and the folks within the dance world to really educate me. We went through anti-bias training and anti-racial training. We try to have a board and a staff that reflects our constituency, which is not white necessarily, like majority white. And it's definitely, and also immigration, folks who are disabled. There's so much that goes on in there. So one of the things I picked up over the years is to make sure, is this accessible for everybody? Can you see me? Can you hear me? Do you need a description? Are you comfortable with your pronouns? This is not something you normally see in the business world, but you see in the arts world a lot. How can I make this environment okay for you? We start all of our meetings with land acknowledgments, which is I'm standing in the land of the Lenape right now, and it was stolen land. And continuously educating ourselves to figure out how to make things more equitable. We believe in not as much DEI, which became like the thing, but we've always talked before that started, before the awful stuff with George Floyd, justice, equity, and inclusion. We believe in JEI because diversity is here. I mean, we're all here. How can we make it just? How can we make it equitable? And how can we make it inclusive? So I kind of just do that in everything.
Looking ahead, what legacy do you hope to leave through your legal practice? And how do you aspire to impact the future of entertainment and entrepreneurship?
Not thinking of my legacy yet per se. I feel like I have a few more years to go, but I do want to be thought of as the person who is thoughtful, listening, who is not like the lawyer so scary, but the lawyer, my confidant, my friend, someone with whom I've really enjoyed working and developing relationships. And in the entertainment business fields, just being able to make my clients successful, like to help them. I'd help them make money and grow relationships. So if my job is done correctly, they are successful.
Love that. As mentioned off the top, and you've brought it into the conversation a few times, you're also a dancer and support dance. How long did you dance for, and what inspired the journey into the world of dance for you?
I have been moving since I was in utero. That was never, my mom used to call me a mosquito when I was little. Right now, I only dance in the privacy of my own home. But I did all through college, I danced. I knew I wasn't of the quality to be a professional dancer, but I also loved choreography. And I did that through college. And I had to do a presentation recently, and I realized that how I did choreography and worked with my dancers is how I operate in my practice. Because someone gets injured, what do you do? How do you explain it? How do they understand the movements? How do we take all of these little pieces and make it a whole? How do we then make it work with the music? So a lot of how I worked with my dancers, I also do that in my practice with my clients. And it just is smooth sailing. And then now working in the dance world, kind of in more of a business way, because I'm on the board of directors rather than performing or choreographing. But it's so cool. I still feel like that 12-year-old outside the stage door waiting for someone to come out when I meet these people who are just doing the most incredible things, and just being in the room with them or being able to work with them is so exciting.
What kind of dance did you do Was it jazz? Was it ballet?
I was a modern dancer. I was a modern dancer. I started with tap and ballet at 3 and found modern and just lost myself.
But you use a lot of dance, and we've talked about it a few times here, dancing references in your bio, etc. How has being a dancer and being part of that world still connected to it helped you in your law career and in life? And what is the correlation there for you?
I just really love it.
Yeah.
I mean, just again, that's the part of me finding all the things that really make me happy and satisfied that I'm able to be in it. I've been chair for 11 years. So we're going to be working on a strategic plan soon. And I think that for the benefit of any organization, you need to change chairs and direction at some point. So I'm going to step out from being the chair, but still be involved maybe on the legal side and other things. But I just love dance. So anytime I can be around it, and like I said, being helpful for it, or also the advocacy, the resources, the convening. We did the first ever dance census in the New York City metropolitan area this past year, and we were able to really see what's happening, how to be better advocates. We're now at the table when we meet with legislators, for example, where we have hard data behind it. So that stuff is really great because we're helping folks in the dance community, whether or not you're a dance worker where you're the pianist accompanying someone or you're the head of ABT. It's a huge spectrum.
That must be so fulfilling for you to also be able to still be part of that world that you grew up in.
Yeah, it really is cool.
What do you think your unique skill set or superpower is that's helped you become successful?
I think listening is a big part, and not talking over people, and just being willing, like how I do with my fee structure and stuff, really being a cheerleader and being willing to do certain things so that other people can be successful. And also part of it is I really do love what I do. And I think that comes across when I talk to people, they're like, we've never met a lawyer like you. And I take that as a compliment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm a geek. I'm a dancer. I giggle. I do all sorts of stuff. I talk to them like a
You're relatable.
Yeah, I like to think so. Oh, yeah.
I think you are. I think it's incredible to be able to find your passion and your purpose and what lights you up, and to be able to do that for a living and also have it impact and give back to other people. There is no better feeling in the world than that, honestly.
Yeah,
it's like winning the lottery twice, in my opinion.
Yes. And being able to do what I love, and for the most part, being paid to do that, it is like, that's it.
It doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah.
Speaking of success, how do you define that word? What does success mean to you?
I think happiness. All of us have gone through things in our lives that have been very difficult, personally, medically, business-wise, whatever. But if you can wake up and it's a gorgeous day and you can go outside, like I go outside with my dog, that's a great way to start every single day. I feel lucky. Just
it is.
Gratitude, happiness, having people who love you and support you. I think that's another thing too. I was very fortunate to have grown up in a family that just supported me. Yeah. And I grew up feeling like I could do things. And I never underestimate the power that had in my success in the world.
Yeah, having cheerleaders in your corner is necessary. We all need that.
Yeah.
Because we are going to have those times where we don't feel confident, or as we spoke about earlier, imposter syndrome and all of those things. Having those people in your corner is key to helping you get through that.
Yeah. And have people who just love you. I think that's huge.
For sure.
Yeah.
What would you say is one of the most important things you've learned in your life? And what was your life like before you learned it? And what was your life like after you learned it?
Be kind. I mean, as trite as that is, kindness goes a long way. So I have a friend who, actually a lot of my friends are like, you burp unicorns and you fart rainbows. I mean, no joke. I had a birthday party last year and pretty much everyone got up and said that. But it's like, there'll be someone serving me lunch and they have a beautiful, I'll be like, that's gorgeous art or body art. Or there's a woman who's at CVS who's taking my thing, and I've obviously spent a tremendous amount of time and care on her nails. Yep. I will always want to mention that I think it's beautiful or something, or it's just so easy. Yes. I'm admiring it. Why not just tell them? Because you know that's something that maybe no one has seen them that day.
Yeah.
Or you go into an office and everybody's just looking at a screen. You're like, that is a cool photograph of you in the back. Like, what were you doing? Silly little things like that really make a difference and open up all of these conversations.
I talk about this all the time, and it's like, I can't wrap my head around why people find it so hard to be nice. It doesn't cost you anything. Even just a smile at someone.
Yes.
You could completely change the trajectory of their entire day.
Yeah. And I mean, I've been the recipient of that countless times too. It's like you could be in a mood and you walk past someone and they smile and you're like, okay.
And it's infectious.
It is absolutely infectious.
It's so easy to be nice to people. It doesn't take much. It doesn't take much effort. It doesn't cost you anything to do it. Just be nice. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not asking too much.
I think it's the bare minimum.
Yeah, absolutely. What does the word empowerment mean to you, Elissa?
Being able to do that which you think is right, not necessarily at the expense of someone else, but to further something good and feel confident about it.
Okay, we're going to jump into a little rapid fire section. So the next grouping of questions just be 2, 3, 4-word answer type thing. Okay.
Right.
Ready. Let's go. How would you describe yourself in one word?
Bubbly.
If you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be?
Kindness.
If you could teach the world one thing, what would it be?
Peace.
Yes. What is one thing that you love about yourself that is not related to your physical appearance?
My sense of serenity.
If you were writing your autobiography, what would the title be?
She burps unicorns and farts rainbows.
I love that. That concludes our rapid fire section. Now back to our regularly scheduled program. I put a little question in here, a bonus question that I didn't send you ahead of time. I want to shift things up a little bit with my questions for my guests. So if you hosted a dinner party and had to invite one musician, one politician, a famous couple, and a family member, who would you invite?
Okay, the famous couple would be the Curies, Marie and Pierre, because they were a power couple in a very difficult time, and he recognized in her a true partner, in spite of everything the French Academy did and everything, and the things that they did, and then they died because of what they created, what they found. But I think that they would be fascinating. That's hard. That's really hard. I mean, maybe Peter, Paul, and Mary would be, I think, just a group who I would like to just sit with because they've had such an impact over time. And I loved not just what they did in terms of their work, but how their work still speaks to generations. Or Marlo Thomas and all the work around Free to Be You and Me, I think is just incredible. So who are the others?
A politician and a family member.
Politician. Well, I worked for Lee Hamilton for some time when Bill Clinton was president, and he was the second-ranked Democrat at that point and the top Democrat in the House. And he was extraordinary, and I would like to see him again because he worked and represented a very conservative district in Indiana, but he was a Democrat. And he was able to do that, reaching across the aisle, come together. He also worked on the 9/11 Commission afterwards and was a master communicator. So I think I would like to have an opportunity 20 years later or something to be able to sit with him kind of as an adult and really talk about his life. Yeah. And then who was the other?
A family member.
I know so much about and had never met my great-grandmother for whom I was named, Grandma Evelyn. So I would really like to meet her.
Beautiful. Excellent. Who in your life has had the biggest impact on you and why?
Well, there's no one answer for that. That's my parents, my husband, my children, because they make me a better person. That goes back to you're surrounded by love.
What aspect of your personality do you think has been the most helpful in your career?
My optimism. I always see the best, to my detriment sometimes, because I've definitely walked into situations and assumed the best in people when they weren't necessarily doing the best. But I am an incurable optimist.
What is one lesson your career has taught you that you think everyone should learn at some point in their life?
Lawyers can be fun. We're good.
We're not the stereotypical people.
Yeah, we're there to help you. We're fun. And what I love about being in the copyright bar with the lawyers, we're all closet dancers, singers, writers, musicians. We all have lives. Yeah.
If you could step into my shoes, what question would you have asked yourself that I didn't ask you?
You are very thorough. That is the hardest question of them all. Gosh, I don't know.
What is your why?
Because. No, why not?
Just because.
Because
why not?
Yeah. This is what I always add. This is what I say to my clients too, because a lot of times, especially if they're negotiating against themselves, I'm like, you ask for the moon. The worst thing that they do is say no or come back part way. Like, why not?
Might as well go for it. Go for broke. What is one of your biggest failures or life lessons or teachable moments? And what did you learn from it?
I think some of it goes back to the earlier time that we were talking about where I was taking things personally in the professional negotiations. And also for sure, when I ended up leaving my company and going out on my own, it wasn't totally it was within my control, but wasn't. And it was very scary at the time. But it was also, to go back to that other word, empowering, when I realized like, all you need is that first client. And then it happens and then it happens. So stepping out and creating your own business is terrifying and exciting at the same time and a tremendous amount of work, but absolutely worth it. And I learned so much over time, like with failures and other things and successes, what works, what doesn't. And it really is an incredible life lesson.
Entrepreneurship tests muscles. It tests you as a human. It tests your character. I think it's right up there next to raising kids. It is so hard, but so worth it.
Yeah. And I did them at the same time too, which was interesting because I had a part-time practice for so many years because I worked when my kids were in school. Then when they came home, I wanted to be with them. So it was, and it's funny because dealing with kids and dealing with toddlers sometimes is very similar to dealing with what's going on. And it's like, it's all relative.
Yeah, for sure. If you had the opportunity to sit down and have a 1-hour conversation with one woman, any woman in the world, who would it be and why?
Read about so many. I actually really like Meg Wolitzer, who is a famous author, but she's both an author who I love, and she is the host of a short stories. I'm blanking on the name. It's a podcast where actors speak at Symphony Space in New York City, and they read shorts. And I think she just has such a beautiful, relatable sense of humor and way to see the world. And I love her writing. I will tell you exactly what this is called because I highly recommend this for anybody. Selected Shorts. That's the podcast. And the way she ties things together and interviews authors and brings in her own experience. I just love listening to her. I feel like I could have a great conversation. Like we could walk together for hours and have a great conversation.
If you could go back and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that piece of advice be?
Just go with it. I mean, it's funny because I was thinking recently, is there anything I would change? And I think no, because I really love where I am right now. So just know that even though there's going to be twists and turns, and I wouldn't want at that age to know what they were. Like I wouldn't want to know everything that I went through to get there, but just know it's going to be okay. And it's going to be not what you thought it was going to be, but even better.
So much better.
Yeah.
Lastly, Elissa, if you were to deliver your last 30-second speech to the world, your tribe, your people, your corner of the world, what would that last 30 seconds sound like? What words of wisdom would you impart?
Be kind, respect Mother Nature and the environment because it's a finite resource. Just do things that make your children proud so that they're happy to carry on whatever the legacy is.
Beautiful. Elissa, thank you so much for taking and making the time to be here with me today. It has been an absolute beautiful experience.
Thank you.
Having the opportunity to sit down and share in your journey with you and learn more about the law and the work that you do. You're a beautiful human being that I'm so grateful to be connected to. And thank you for taking and making the time to be here with me today.
You are too. And I want to reiterate the questions that you came up with are so deep and personal and wonderful. And I really appreciated how thought-provoking they were.
Thank you. That's all I want. I want my guests to walk away feeling like they had to think, they enjoyed the conversation, they enjoyed the experience of spending the hour with me. And so thank you for reflecting that. I appreciate you. It has been an absolute pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you.
Once again, my name is Brad Walsh, host of your Empowerography podcast. Today, my guest has been Elissa Hecker. She is a lawyer that specializes in small business, solopreneur, entrepreneurial law, and entertainment law. And she's also a dancer. Thank you so much, Elissa. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. If you haven't yet, please be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share with all your friends. You can find me at viseuphoria.ca and follow me on Instagram at Empowerography Podcast and on Facebook at Empowerography. Please join me next time for another inspirational story from yet another amazing woman.